Good morning.
I'm sleepy.
Not a good morning.
I'm sleepy this morning.
Apparently, in light of recent events, I wanted to talk about hunting for stock music.
Yeah.
I said that like there should be like a graphic.
And we're saying stock music because in most of the work we do, it's all stock music.
Yeah,
It's rare for us to ever hire a composer or to have a custom licensed piece of music.
Yeah, and I would say for a lot of shops our size, or especially people starting out or something, most people don't have access to composers, so they go stock music.
So what is stock music?
It is music that is pre-made and it's on the internet for you to buy.
And it's royalty free.
Which
is important.
Creatively approaching it.
Sure.
Yeah, right. That's a good, I think that's a perfect.
Well, I mean, you sit down with a client and we always talk about brand and we always talk about message and
tone
and tone, style.
Right.
And, as we're putting all the pieces together, we try to figure out, all right, well, what's
the
on?
Sound?
Sometimes there's not music.
Right.
Sometimes there's sound design.
Yeah.
But the times in which the client's like, I think a nice piece of music would be good.
Right.
That's usually what they say 100% of the time.
Yeah.
I think a nice piece of background music. Okay,
like,
good.
Great.
What is that background music? So what we've done is, before we even shoot a piece of content, we find music for clients, the music that we've talked about based on their brand and tone and feel, and we present it to them. Sometimes it's a home run. Sometimes it's a complete miss.
Yeah.
We usually hit them with, I don't know, 3 to 5 tracks of like, which one do you like? What one sounds right to you? What do you think would be a good fit for this piece?
Mm-hmm.
And then we at least know that going into the shoot. And most of the time we use it in post-production. Sometimes it gets swapped out. Sometimes we'll get into post and we'll be like, it's just not working. And we'll go and find something else. But I feel like, one of the most frustrating things that happens with stock music in general is when you've already edited the piece to a piece of music and the picture's locked and the client comes back maybe a couple months later and is like, I want to change the song. And there's many reasons why they want to change the song. Sometimes their brand has shifted or they've gotten bored of it. I mean, whatever. It doesn't really matter the reason.
Right.
The problem is they're asking us to change the song.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to changing a song, there's so many parts that went into choosing that specific song.
Right.
That isn't just swap the music.
Yeah, it's not that easy. And like you said, like there's a big creative approach behind it, behind the tonality of things. And
I mean, when you get into post-production, the pacing of the edit becomes the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Because one of the most frustrating things is when I watch a piece of content that clearly is not edited to the music. Clearly the editor didn't care to take the time to pace it to the music.
Just had a song, said whatever we shoot, that's what the song's going to be, or for whatever reason.
Or whatever it was, and they just dropped it into the timeline and hit export. And you're just like, you barely even adjusted the levels. Like,
yeah, right.
That's extreme circumstances, but that happens more often than not where they just drop a piece of music in and you're just like, this just feels strange.
Right. And I think that's like, a lot of times it is a feeling, like listening to a piece of music and watching the stuff you have, or like, going into an edit. There is that kind of weird, like, yes, this is the piece. Like, I know it, I feel it, or, like from the client aspect too, I'm sure.
Well, yeah. And
there's that perfect piece of music out there, and you gotta find it.
A good litmus test that we've used over the years, and I don't think it's something that's like doctrine at our company by any means, but it's just something that I think organically has grown on us, is as the project goes on through post-production, if we still, if we're maybe in the fine cut, approaching the locked edit, we're a couple weeks into the edit on a project and we're still not liking the music, it's usually a good indicator that this isn't right.
Yeah.
This song isn't right. But if we are that far and we do like the music, well, then it's a good indication usually that it's good. And so, it comes down to like, trust your gut. If something is saying like, I just don't feel like that's right, change it sooner rather than later, because if you're editing properly to the music and you continue down that pathway and you force that in, you're going to get to the end and feel like, boy, I like this piece. I just hate the music. And that might end up making the piece completely invaluable to you.
Yeah.
Which you don't want to do.
Yeah. It seems like such a it always seems like such a small thing, and it's like it is the thing that I feel like gets just glazed over the most by, you know, by people who like when you say I want a piece of music in my video, I feel like that's like
that's a statement.
Yeah, it's just like a statement. I just want music. Yeah, right.
And then like sometimes you find clients who are very particular on the music they want.
Yep.
Which is extremely frustrating sometimes because they have thought about it so much that they almost imagine a piece of music that genuinely doesn't exist, and they're not willing to pay for a composer to create it.
But on that same note, we have also encountered people who are extremely particular, and they're not just good at picking songs because they've done it so many times, but they'll send you examples of ones already from stock sites,
right?
And they're like, I like these. Just once the footage is done, whichever of these three look and best with the visuals, and
those are great. And in those situations, we usually plan and shoot around that song.
Yeah, right.
You know, we'll be like, yeah, we're gonna shoot to this pace, like to this tone,
because what you said earlier, the creative, approaching it creatively, that's the best way we have found
the most important thing to do. Yeah, but then like going back, like, sometimes it can be very frustrating when you're handed a tall list for music and someone is very particular, but that I would say is a rarity. Most of the time, and I'm kind of shocked by it, clients don't really care because they do just think, well, I just need a piece of music. And like sometimes I feel like sometimes we find ourselves overthinking it too much.
What?
But at the same time, knowing that a client, it's not bad that a client doesn't necessarily care what music they have. Like, honestly, it's a good thing because then we as creatives get to fill that role and we get to craft the message around the music we choose, because they're going to be happy pretty much regardless with whatever we pick, as long as it doesn't sound terrible.
Yeah, because at that point, you're showing them the whole experience all at once. You're showing them the visuals, all the cool stuff you did, and the music. And it's just like, when it feels right, it feels right.
You bring it all together, right? So a lot of times with documentary, when making documentary films, I find stock footage to be pretty frustrating. Stock music, being pretty frustrating because you spend all this time focusing in on a story, a specific story of someone, and you spend time filming them over a period of many, many days, and you have a general tone or theme or idea in mind. And a lot of times when you get into the edit and you're building these longer form sequences, you find that I might have had a song chosen for the beginning of the sequence, but this sequence is 6 minutes long.
Yeah, I was just gonna.
And so the song ends, and you're like, well, do I just keep looping the song, or do I go find another piece of song? And then I find I get myself in trouble because I don't have broad resources. I'm essentially saying like, all right, mighty stock music gods, find me all the tracks that match this one track. Yeah. And in reality, you might get lucky if you find 2 or 3.
Yeah.
At least from my experience.
Yeah. Well, and I think what you said that about the song ending, like sometimes it's not just that. Sometimes you find the perfect song and you're like, oh, this is great. And you listen to the 2-minute sample that's on, the site. And then you get the 5-minute song in there. And at like minute 2:10, you're like, oh, this takes a totally different turn, and now it's terrible.
This gets weird, or it doesn't have a definitive end.
Yeah.
Those ones are tough when they don't have definitive ends, and you have to like be recreating it. And in those times, a lot of times you find yourself smashing your face up against the keyboard, wishing you had the budget to hire a composer. Because you'd be like, if I could just like show them this track and say, kind of like this, but cooler, longer, with a good ending. That would be great. Can you do that? Have it to me in a couple weeks. Perfect. Not a problem. But yeah, a lot of times our budgets, they don't allow us to do that. And so then you're in that rat race of scouring multiple sites. Well, and there's a ton. Everyone asks us like, what resources exist? And I'm like, well, there's a lot.
I think that's the biggest frustration is just when you get into the site.
Yeah.
And no matter how good you are, no matter how many times you've done this, no matter how many, like sites
Right.
you're still going to be sitting there for, it seems like every single time for like 2 hours,
Yeah.
just play.
It feels like a lot of times over the years we've done this so much that like after like song 5 or 6 on a site,
we usually know it gets worse.
Yeah, oh definitely. You're like,
Yeah.
wow, this music took a weird
Like, if
turn.
you can't
Like
find
you
it in the
search for a
first-
specific
yeah.
criteria, the top 5 or 6 are usually the ones that are going to be the closest to that, and then after that it all gets scrambled.
Yep.
And we usually have found that like if I can't find something within the first 5 or 6 songs, I'm going to another site
Or another genre or something.
refining my
Yep.
search in some way.
Yep.
Because that does help you be a little bit more efficient. But yeah, sometimes it can take forever.
Yeah.
I mean, we've even gone as far as buying music packs and making our own like ambient fillers and backtracks.
We have done that in the past. Yeah. If it
Where,
requires
like,
more of a sound.
That was way outside of scope, way outside of budget, but we were just not finding
It was
what we
way better
needed.
and way more fun.
Right, and it made the end product better for us, and so we were and for the client, and so we were happy about that.
Yeah.
But
so, kind of the talk on the same point of like finding songs and stuff. I did want to just offer some of our recommendations of the sites that we use, like the top 3, that we go to when finding songs.
Yep. I have them bookmarked on the top of my browser, so I just have to click them. Open all the tabs up.
The top 3 that we use are Premium Beat.
Mm-hmm.
We use
.com.
We use, oh gosh, premiumbeat.com.
Yeah.
We use artlist.io.
Yep.
And when the budget allows, we use MusicBed.
If the budget allows, and if we feel so inspired to use it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, like, MusicBed's great. They have some really awesome top licensed talent on that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, you can find
the
studio grade, not a person trying to
Mhm.
make a living making stock music, but an actual musician on a label. You can find their work on that site.
Premium Beat,
more affordable.
Premium Beat
more
is
affordable.
Yeah, that's the more kind of affordable go-to. It's a flat rate for each song, and
Right.
the song carries usually with the standard license carries pretty much anything you'd ever need, unless you're going to like broadcast or international.
Right.
It's all royalty free on Premium Beat, and it's into perpetuity. And that's also why we like Artlist, and that's actually the one we've been using the most because it's a flat subscription rate,
which is totally worth it. It has saved us a ton of money.
Yeah,
over the last year.
You buy it once, and as long as you have the subscription, you can use as many of their songs and as many projects as you want for any reason at all.
Right, and they don't have all the bells and whistles. For example, they don't have stems. They don't have shorter versions. Sometimes they do, but it's not.
Some do, but it's
not
rare.
Standard.
Yeah.
Whereas like on Premium Beat, they got a 15-second, 30-second, 60-second full-length version.
Yeah, it's very good for
Premium Beat has
commercials
stems where you can have just the drum track or just the piano track or just the vocals. I don't know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist on Artlist.io.
No.
Also, Artlist is a little less user-friendly. So, like, one of the tactics we use when we're looking for songs is we'll find a piece of music when I get into the documentary scenario. I have one song picked. I like that song. I want to go back and be able to search recommended or similar titles. Premium Beat offers that. They say, here's similar titles to that song, or here's a recommended based on your pick.
Yeah.
Artlist at the current format does not have that. And sometimes that's a little frustrating because you find yourself going back into the rat race of searching and finding your criteria.
But the nice thing about Artlist is, like MusicBed, a lot of the artists won't just make a song. They'll make like an album that all has a very similar tone. So if you're like, this is close, but not quite, you can go into the album and, there might be 8 more songs in that.
Yeah, and you can usually find 1 or 2 more within similar range or tone that you want to use in your piece.
Right.
And yeah, that is a tactic that we've developed on Artlist. And
right.
I like it. I mean, I think it's a fantastic service when you need a lot of stock music, which we do.
Yeah.
I mean, we probably use well over 100 or more stock music songs a year.
Yeah. Easy.
And to have Artlist having an artless subscription allows us to just pretty much
Yeah.
find what we need and put it in place.
Thanks for joining us today, guys, on this conversation about stock music. If you want to get involved in the conversation, please do so in the comments below. As always, like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.